Welcome. Today, I'm going to be trying something a little bit different, and you'll be seeing me doing some different things on Twitter and just experimenting with live streaming and a lot of the things that I see people having success with and amplifying their voice with. I think one of the best things that we can do when we are have the ability to is to put our voice out there and to speak out loud what is on our heart, and that's sometimes called authenticity. It's sometimes called being real, but ultimately what I really am focused on right now at this particular moment in time is my ability to say what I am, to say what's on my heart, to say what's real to me, and to expect that when I effectively communicate that, that will come back to me in spades, and that will attract my tribe. So you'll have to let me know in the DMs or comments if my video is showing well. But one of the things that I think is really important in crypto as an entrepreneur and beyond is that you have to be able to go over speed bumps. You have to be able to push through challenges. And that can be really hard when we're not in community or when we don't have some kind of a higher aim or goal. So for me, my higher aim is always what I call God. It's a spiritual aim. But for you, your higher aim might be a goal. It might be your commitment to your family. It might be your commitment to doing something that you know you should do. It might be your commitment to telling the truth. It doesn't really matter what you call God. For me, I call God a separate entity that I can be in relationship with at an emotional level. But for many people, they're recognizing God as just this higher aim, this idea that they have for something that's bigger than their lives. Maybe it's the quantum field, maybe it's Christ consciousness. Whatever you choose as your higher aim is the guiding force in your life, and in many ways that is create what creativity is. Creativity is your ability to bridge the gap between what you know right now and the thing that's just out ahead. And when I get really frustrated or overwhelmed, I get shut that creativity down, and it's a really unfortunate thing because then I feel demotivated. Then I don't end up doing the things that I know that I should do. I end up sluggish or maybe not telling myself the truth. We've probably all had a situation in the past where we know that there's something that we could do to improve our lives or to improve the lives of people around us, but we don't do the thing that we know that we should do. And in those moments where I can't find the courage or the willingness or the will to do the things that I know that I need to do, one of the things that I turn to is a type of prayer. And what I wanted to talk about today was this kind of meditation affirmation prayer that I revisit over and over and over again. That's called Rise Up a Warrior. And Rise Up a Warrior is something that was put out by Graham Cooke, and Graham Cooke calls it a prophetic soaking. And in a prophetic soaking, what you're doing is you're basically hearing the words and interpreting the words as if they're coming from your higher aim. So for me and for Graham Cooke, these are the words of God coming to him. It's God's message of hope and good news for you. And whether you interpret these words as coming from that place, or like I said, whether you use some mental gymnastics to fit it into whatever your belief system is, I thought it would be interesting to go line by line through this affirmation, through this soaking, and just showcase how the opportunity that's available to us, no matter what you believe is out there, I believe that we are spiritual beings operating in a meat sack avatar, and that means that we have the ability to connect in to more than what appears. And things like this rise up a warrior soaking or meditation can be a really interesting way for us to just understand what's available to us when we get out of our own way. And the way that we get out of our own way is by sitting silently, feeling our big feelings. The best part about silence is that you will immediately come into contact with the emotional energy that is ready to release in you. And whether you're building a project in crypto, whether you're trying to raise a family, whether you're looking for a girlfriend or boyfriend, whether you're seeking more like-hearted friends or community, the best thing that you can do is get silent with yourself and recognize that if you don't already have it, it's because something emotional is preventing you from tapping into the thread that is available to you. Because when you're in the flow, you're not worried about whether or not it's coming, because you feel so good in this moment, and that's what's available to us when we ask for it. In many ways, chat gpt and ai and many of these tools that have now become available to us via artificial intelligence are just pointing to a higher technology that's always been available to us, and that is our ability to query the quantum field, to query the spiritual realms, to be in conversation with God. We give these things a lot of language, and sometimes it's really woo woo, and sometimes it's more technical if you're a naturalist. But ultimately, what we're talking about is we've all had a gut feeling before. We've all had an intuition, and when you learn how to query reality the same way that you query artificial intelligence, then you can receive answers. Answers are available to you, and reality is actually ready to call up. That's what rising up as a warrior is. It's reality calling up the people that are ready to take the energy and run with it. And you have to be listening for that. You have to be willing to step into sometimes uncomfortable territory and become someone who's very good at finding comfort in discomfort. And that's what true alignment is. That's our ability to walk through lion's dens. So I'm going to read through line by line this prophetic soaking by Graham Cooke. Let me throw up on the jumbotron the uh, the document so that you can follow along. And really, if anybody wants to jump up on stage and have a conversation about any part of this, feel free to raise your hand and come up. This is about us being in community together and recognizing that, the support that we all need from time to time is available right here. The internet is both a nasty and a beautiful place, and if we can use the algorithm to guide us into how powerful our focus is, we can recognize that when we become very good at controlling our focus, that's when everything starts to happen for us. And so I put up on the jumbotron what I'm going to be reading through if you want to follow along. But this is a prophetic soaking. You could call it an affirmation. You could call it a meditation. You could call it a prayer. But this is reality, the higher aim, the higher purpose that's available to you, bestowing a message onto all of us. And the way that I like to receive this was with an open heart. And so energetically, what an open heart feels like is almost like hands open. It's why you see people worship like this, because this is the physical stance that opens the energy so that your heart chakra is actually open. And I used to work with a psychic many years ago named Paul Selig, and he used to talk about how when you feel stuck, when you feel stagnated, and you don't know how to call in what you need in that moment, because you need something if you feel stuck, what you can do is you can raise your arms like this, and you can literally start to call forth the energy to you. And as I'm reading this is the energetic stance of what this particular prophetic soaking looks like. And so anytime I'm stuck, I just do this and I say, bring to me whatever news I need, bring to me whatever information I need. I'm never praying in a way that is whiny. I'm never saying, "Oh, please give me this. Oh, I don't know what to do." Now, that's not true. Sometimes I do that, but oftentimes I am intentional in my prayer, and I know that when I'm intentional, my prayer is answered more quickly. And the way that it gets answered is by a feeling, by a knowing, oh, I need to go and do this. Oftentimes I get search terms in my head when I pray, because that's the fastest way for me to get the energy download. And then lo and behold, I find a SaaS product, or I find a coach, or I find a piece of software that just totally opens up a new track for me. And so this energetic stance of arms up and open, heart open, and us calling in what we want allows us to be better leaders. It allows us to find the things that are going to put us into community and bring us into contact with the people that are like-minded and are like-hearted. So this prophetic soaking, and remember, this is a message from your higher purpose, from your whatever you call God, whatever that thing that you look to in your life is. This is a message from that to you, and it starts, my beloved. This is a time of new beginnings, and the reason that that's important to start with is that in a quantum reality, in reality in general, we get to start over at any point in time. We don't have to dream to bring our past with us as if we're carrying an elephant up a hill. And so a big part of us stepping onto a higher path is recognizing that we can cut the past. And when we cut ties with the past, the emotional energy of that is going to come to the surface. It will be temporarily uncomfortable for a season, but if we can sit silent, feel through that, maybe cry or grieve, then that will really allow us to step into this next dimensional space. So one thing I'm going to do is probably take these glasses off. The reason that I changed my avatar to the glasses is because one of the things that I realized as I was kind of living this double life, where I was running the Musing Wizard account and Musing Wizard Twitter, and then doing all my own personal stuff on the John Ray account, was that I recognized that I was in a facade. And what a facade is it's something that you put in front of yourself energetically, emotionally, so that people don't get to see the full you. And oftentimes, for me at least, that came from a place of fear, where I was afraid that if I said too much spiritual stuff, or if I talked about God, or if I talked about feeling your feelings too much, that people would have a judgment against me. And I'm a recovering people pleaser. And as a recovering people pleaser, I didn't want to have that judgment on me. And so instead, I played a small game. You know, if you grew up in the church, you've heard an old song called Light of the World, where it talks about hiding your light under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about taking the facade off. So I'm going to take the glasses off and get out of my facade and really try to talk about authentically what this prayer and this prophetic soaking means to me. But when you see the glasses in my profile, and the reason that I put them there is because I see my profile more than anyone. I always am trying to now remind myself, do not be in your facade. We're always in some kind of a facade. That's part of being human. You know, part of the gift that we have from our higher purpose, or God, is that we can be consistently brought into new and new levels of authenticity, and that's why life is so exciting. But we're never going to be wholly pure, which means we're always going to be in some kind of a facade. There's always going to be something that we need to learn, and that's part of the adventure. That's part of the exploration. But for me, the sunglasses represent that facade, and I always want to be reminding myself, are you in your facade right now, or are you being real to where the energy is at, to where the emotion is at, and to who you really are in this moment? Because when we can be true to that, that's when all the opportunity sweeps in. So, my beloved, this is a time of new beginnings. I am promoting you in the spirit. I am drawing you up to a new place of encounter. As a foot soldier, you have fought well. You have tasted the sweetness of victory and also the ashes of defeat. You have learned to persevere. You have embraced a steadfast and faithful lifestyle. And so this is all about us receiving from our higher purpose confirmation that we're doing the best that we can. We're taking the slings and arrows, and even though may have regrets, even though we may have guilt, if we could have done better in that moment, we would have, because naturally we want to gravitate towards a better version of ourselves. Oftentimes we just don't know how, or we're afraid of becoming the person that we need to be in order to enact that authenticity. And so this first part of this prayer is just a reminder that your higher purpose, your God, the quantum field, in silence is always there to remind you that you're doing the best that you can. And if you can relax into that, you can really free up a lot of energy, which will help your curiosity find the thread and the path that you should be on. It goes on to say, you've learned to stand and press in. You're beginning to understand the importance of remaining. You're able to refuse weariness. You've overcome the spirit of heaviness that was against you on this level. Now I am is calling you up to a new place of overcoming. I am calling you to walk the way of the warrior, to rise up in the place of abundance and provision that will provide you with rich encounters with me on the battlefields of life. And so, what this means to me is that when challenges come up in our lives, we oftentimes get beat down by them. We think that we're being punished in some way. We think it's a woe me moment. It's like, oh, why is this happening to me? And in that place, we lose the thread. We lose the creative space that would otherwise be available to us, where all solutions live. And so, if we can, the reason that I like listening to this is because when I'm reminded from God that I'm being called into a better place of service, that all challenges are just pointing to me upping my skills and upping the ante of what's available to me. When I act from a place of the victory being won, that guidance is always available to me, that's it becomes so much easier to navigate the things in our lives. And so I'll continue reading and we'll get into more why that's important. So it says, in this season of preparation and rearming, you must leave the last remains of mediocrity behind. So to me, as I'm listening to this, I'm feeling in my body, what does it mean? What does that mean? Leave mediocrity behind. Well, you can immediately, if you're in tune with yourself, you know where you're being mediocre in your life. You know where you're not giving it your all. You know where there's something that you should do that you're not doing. And so this is a gentle nudge and reminder from our higher purpose, from God, that we're leaving the last remains of mediocrity behind. That's the time, that's the season that we're in. Where I am is taking you there. You cannot have a smallness of mind there. Indeed, you must renew your mind just to enter this new place. This new season is about you stepping away out of your circumstances and into a new place in me. So this is this idea that we don't have to do it all ourselves. There is assistance available, and you could call that creative assistance. You can call it whatever you want, but we all know what it feels like to have an intuition, and you can live in that intuitive, creative zone all the time by finding alignment and by opening yourself to being able to receive. The only reason that ChatGPT works is because when you put a prompt in, you expect that something's going to come back, and then all the technical things work underneath the surface and call that forth from the black box of the AI. Well, the universe is the exact same way. Almost always technology at the physical level is just pointing to technology at a higher level. And so when we query, and that's what prayer is, it's a query. When we query from a place of expecting more, then more will come to us. It says, you do not live in your circumstances, you live in me. And so this is the idea, and the reason that I choose to believe in a God that is separate from myself, that is outside of me, is that, one, I have an emotional relationship with that entity being. It is a loving relationship that isn't a voice in my head, but is something that comes on as such deep joy that oftentimes I'm brought to tears. And so it's a really interesting energetic stance when you recognize your own energy, and then you recognize someone's energy that is greater or more loving than you. You know, if you've had a really good mentor in your life or a really good parent, you know what this feels like. But you can have that with God or the universe or whatever language you want to give it as well, just by being curious and saying, hey, if you're out there, I'd love to have that relationship and see what it looks like. And sometimes you will be overwhelmed by this, and that's what it means to live in God, to live in that space of creative freedom where you don't need to mentally know everything. Your job is not to be a database. Your job is not to remember and regurgitate everything. Your job is to be a clear channel that information flows through. And that's what it means to live in that higher purpose. He goes on to say, now you must discover the awesome permission that means for you in my intentionality. You must see me as I really am, not as your church experience has depicted me. So if you're a Christian, if you grew up in the church like me, initially this might be kind of confronting, because what this prayer is saying is your relationship is with God. It's not with a denomination. It's not with a church. It's not with a text. And I know that's a no thing to say, but truth will find you in your heart, and so the language that you give it is really unimportant, because truth finds you at an emotional level, and then you interpret that through language, but the language is far less important than the emotional intentionality of it. And so what this is saying is whatever you've heard about God, whatever you've heard about that higher creative power, it's so much better, it's so much greater than whatever you've heard, that you need to forget what you've heard and get it from the horse's mouth, get it from the source, because that higher divinity will put itself on your heart, and you will be overwhelmed at how much greater it is than what you were told. All right. So you must see me as I really am, not as your church has depicted me. You must be upgraded in every way. I will show you God of the heavens, and you will walk in the God of the kingdom. And so this is just this idea that when you expect that there's a hand that you can grab in reality at all points in time, even if you feel physically alone, there's something that you can call to for guidance, and that guidance will come on like a creative field, a creative inspiration. And in that moment, you will know where you're being led to, what you're designed to do. And if it doesn't come on immediately, that means that there is emotional trauma, there's gunk in the pipes that needs to be released. And so that's totally fine. We all have a little gunk in our pipes. And the way that you wait for inspiration, whether you're building something, whether you're creating something, whether you're, looking to be in deeper relationship with your partner, wife, or otherwise, the idea of accepting that creative help is about sitting still, feeling the sensation in your body as sensation, and allowing that to play out emotionally on you until it releases. And as you feel the discomfort in your body, once it releases, that discomfort will transmute itself back into creative potential, and that creative potential can then be directed towards what you're being called to do. And there is a calling for you. Your higher purpose will call you forward, and once you're on that path, your life will be so energized. You'll be so jacked to get out of bed every single day, because you will know what you are meant to do. You will know that you are supposed to show up. And it doesn't mean you know what the outcome is going to be. It doesn't know that you ultimately know where you're going, but it means that you know that you're going to show up and you're going to be present with what's in front of you, and that's going to feel like enough, and that's going to feel like the breadcrumb path that will then connect you in to larger and larger epiphanies. All right, so then it says, I am is calling you to a new dimension of the power and place of the Spirit, where truth is the gateway to experience, and encounters with me release the wisdom of my ways. So, what is that saying? It's saying every time you go into silence, every time you have this emotional relationship with reality, and remember, how do you get it? Physically, you put your hands out like this. You literally call the energy into your system, and then eventually you'll be able to do that mentally and emotionally without the signal. But when I first started my spiritual path, when I first started trying to open up a relationship with God, which I did not have for many years in my metaphysical journey, I thought that I was God. I thought that everything was God. But the more that I started to have a conversation with the God that was outside of me, the more that I started to have a conversation with this hypothetical higher purpose, the more that I was able to call that into my system and then live from that place. So it's saying, I am calling you to walk in the power of my perception about you, for your life to be governed by how I see you, for you to embrace my identity, for that you would live in the majesty of my affection, undaunted, unworried, unbeatable. So one of the best things about Christianity, and I would not consider myself a Christian, but I align with Judeo-Christian values for sure, and I believe, like Judeo-Christians believe, that God is an entity outside of ourselves. And one of the best things, whether it's a mental construct or whether it's real, one of the best reasons for experimenting with God being something outside of yourself is that you get to imagine, if there was a perfect being that was perfect in love, that's perfect in creativity, that can perfectly call you forward, what would it look like for that person to call you forward? If you've ever played sports, you likely know how motivating it is to have a good coach. And when you have a good coach that's expecting you to be at your best, that's holding you accountable to being the best that you can be, you just become a better player. You become a better athlete. And this idea of God being this larger, perfect entity of love can be a really interesting mental construct, if not a reality that you slowly experience emotionally, that helps you to see yourself in a light and a lens that maybe you can't see yourself through right now. So it says, my perception of you will upgrade your DNA in the spirit. So we can go down a whole rabbit hole of the 12 strands of DNA, and our ability to upgrade our own physical systems into a crystalline system. But understanding the technicalities of it, or the technicals of it, is less important. What is important is to know that your physical body can be upgraded in this moment right now. And what do? You query reality the same way that you would query GPT. You give it a prompt, and you say, I want you to upgrade my DNA, and I want you to upgrade my spirit. And this is how you start to develop a relationship with reality that serves you, and that calls you forward the same way that a good coach calls out your best potential. So you're no longer a child, but a son moving into maturity, learning your authority. You're embracing your liberty. So you can see, if you listen to this on a regular basis, you remind yourself that you're a growth seeking being. And by reminding yourself of being a growth seeking being, you actually start to actualize that. The DNA of sonship gives you access to different dimensions of permission, inheritance, and authority. And so in Graham Cooke's work, sonship is this idea that we are all children of God. So whether you are a son or a daughter, you are a child of God. And again, you don't have to actually believe this. You can run it as a mental experiment, because even if it wasn't true for you, it still serves as a mental Trojan horse that allows you to find the energetic space that is required to move into higher and higher levels of being. And that is that of having this parent-like figure that is perfect in love, that is calling you forward, and being able to see yourself the way that somebody who is perfected in love would see you. That's what true self-love is. It's our ability to see ourselves through the eyes of God. And the only way to do that is to open up some kind of a mental lens into that perspective. So if someone perfected in love could see my potential, what would that potential look like? And then this is calling you into that potential. From this place, you will have a deeper, broader authorization over the enemy. I love this prophetic soaking for how it uses the word enemy, because what is your enemy? Your enemy is your own nasty thinking, your own limited beliefs about yourself. Your enemy is the challenges that come in your life that you don't know how to overcome. It's the unknowns in your life, and so by recognizing that you have authority over the enemy, you will not go into a state of worry when challenge faces you, because you will know that challenge is designed to make you bigger, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So it says foot soldiers are empowered, but warriors, which is what we are on this call, warriors are embraced. Power is power. Sonship elevates you to inhabit, not to just visit the place of my abundance. Remember, this is your higher purpose in God calling to you, not just to visit my place of abundance. In this place, you will discover your true self. As you develop the obedience to live within my intentionality, you will learn to live in harmony with my delight. And this unity with the spirit will be the source of your overcoming lifestyle in this next dimension. So, what it's saying is that the way that I interpret this is that in a quantum reality, reality is kind of like a film reel, and we you if you believe that we live in a simulation, or even if you just want to use that as a construct for understanding reality, a film reel, typically when you go to a movie theater, has 24 frames per second. But a simulation might have a frame rate, of billions of frames per second. And each of those frames is actually a different dimension. It's not wholly connected to the rest of the film strip. You could cut out that one frame, and that would act independently of the entire strip. But it's when these frames are placed side by side and the light of consciousness is run through it, that we have this experience of reality. And so by recognizing that each new moment is actually a new dimension, this gives us a unique mechanism to believe that something is possible for us when maybe we can't see how. All right. So I lost my place, so let me jump back into where I was. Yeah, so it says sonship elevates you to inhabit, not just visit the place of my abundance. In this place, you will discover your true self. As you develop the obedience to live within my intentionality, you will learn to live in harmony with my delight. And this unity with the spirit will be the source of the overcoming lifestyle in this next dimension. I will teach you how to make the future incredible by living in a present that is beautiful. So, this is about learning to be present with what is, recognizing that we have everything that we need in every moment. And what is it that we need? We need to find the energy that's available to us. And the way that we do that is we get still, we feel through the discomfort that's in our body, and on the other side of that discomfort is unencrypted info, or is encrypted information. We have to cipher it. We have to take the discomfort, which is the encrypted information, and we feel through it to cipher it, to unencrypt it into what's actually there, which is creative potential. Discomfort in our body, discomfort in our mental state, is always potential that hasn't been properly interpreted yet. And we interpret it by feeling through it and then moving into this next dimension that's available to us. So let me take a quick drink of water, and if anybody wants to comment on any of this, feel free to request of. All right. So it says, I will teach you to make the future incredible by living in a present that is beautiful. When the present state of your heart is so enriched by my glory, your current identity will run to meet your emerging destiny. and you will live in the power of an accelerated lifestyle. So what happens is when you get really good at being in alignment, you're capable, you're just more capable. You can handle more, you can do more. You're a better communicator, you're a better leader. And so I love this line that your current identity will run to meet your emerging destiny, because it's this idea. Remember, we have this higher purpose, this potential that's available to us. This is our hopes and our dreams and our desires are pointing at what our potential is, because if we have a desire for something, then that means that the energy is there to actualize it. We just have to go on the path. We have to take the Indiana Jones invisible, step out onto that bridge. And when we do this, we will live in the power of an accelerated lifestyle. When you're sluggish, going fast or doing a lot seems very daunting, and then you don't even want to take that next step. But the interesting thing is that the more that you take that step into the unknown, the more that you receive an influx of energy that allows you to do more with less. Do you see it now, dear heart, why you need the power of a renewed mind? Earthbound logic cannot comprehend the true nature of a life in the spirit. Only a heavenly mindset can do that, and that is the mind of Christ. And so, what is the mind of Christ? The mind of Christ is the highest available potential that is there for you, that is there for all of us. And we can call that into our lives. We can align ourselves with that potential, and that's when we run towards our destiny. It says, beloved, environment is critical to development. It is time for you to rise up and occupy a new place in the spirit. So, energetically and emotionally, I just love this idea of claiming more. To me, that's what this motion is. It's like, I'm claiming more. This is all mine. And when you recognize that reality and God is ready to give you everything, it's such a satisfying recognition. When you rest in my affection, what can you imagine? Allow my spirit to stir up your heart to think in a new way. I will enlighten the inner man of your heart. My word shall rise up from your inner man into your natural mind so that it is renewed in the fullness of Christ. So the inner man, your meat sack, your inner voice, when you get still with this, you can meld with that potential that's available to you from that higher purpose, and then and then in that melding you will be someone who can then enact that potential. When your conscious mind comes under the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the inner man, you shall see clearly and know definitely your emerging identity. And so the more that you go into prayer like this, the more that you go into meditation like this, the more that you will recognize that you are somebody that is being called, and you will honor that calling by being the best that you can be, recognizing that you're flawed, but recognizing that you're growth seeking. It says, beloved, I charge you, therefore, be not earthbound in your thinking. Intellectuals do not have empowered perception in the spirit. They merely have enlarged insight within the realm of logic and reason. I love that quote because what it means is that if you're not the smartest guy in the room, that's okay. Because intellectual knowledge is just a database. We're tapping into quantum potentials here. And so we don't need to know everything before we step into a situation. We need to be a clear channel so that we can have and know what we need to know when we need to know it. And that's actually what true abundance is. True abundance is knowing what you need to know when you need to know it. If you know that, you will have everything that you need. So merely having enlarged insight within the realm of logic and reason is what intellectuals have. That is perception from a smaller place of being. You must see in the spirit. Enlightenment begins with a vision of something or someone that causes an increase of faith and vitality. So what does this mean? When you can see something that you desire, and you get a quick hit that it might be possible for you, that's your cue to deepen that. That's your cue to go into faith. Because that's the message that God puts on your heart. When you look at a potential and you say, I don't know, could I do it? Show me if I could do it. And then sometimes it's so quick, but it's a hit of, I think I could do it. And that is the seed of your faith, and your faith will water into a knowing, and that knowing will then call in the energy to engage what you're looking to do. The prophetic soaking goes on to say, that is my bride emerging. So what is the bride? The bride is the creative spirit. It's Lady Luck. That's coming in, and that's emerging when you tap into that and align with that. She lives in such deep affection in my heart, and that shapes her personality. She has all the permissions of love bestowed on her. My intentions are permissions. So that what that highest potential is your permission. You're allowed to have that. You're allowed to have the anything that you desire purely, that you desire in such a way that it helps yourself, it helps your community, and it helps your world as a whole. So that desire is a permission. That's a permission that you get to have that. So it says, call yourself up to a new place of permission granted. So this is worthiness, right? This is you acknowledging that you deserve and that you're allowed to have the thing that you want. In this new persona, everyone around you will be influenced by my passion for you. So this is what we call charisma. This is just somebody who's got it. This is somebody who has an energy that draws them in. When you are bestowed with permission, you get put into opportunities that are meant for you, that are right for you, that are ready for you to be the enactor. As my warrior princess, you will live as you should in me. So for those of us who are men, warrior princess, what's going on here? Well, the warrior princess is your creativity. That's the feminine side of you. And too often we overclock into the masculine. And because we're overclocked into the masculine, we can only find solution in logic and reason. And when we embrace that inner femininity, that creative spirit, that spirit of lady luck and potential, that's when miracle can be bestowed on us. It says, people will be confronted by my majesty when they see you living as the beloved. I love that line. It will do wonders for the soul of people. And so this is your ability that when you're living authentically, you will uplift the people around you, and people will just walk away from having a conversation with you and be like, wow, that there was something there. That was like having a toe in the light switch. The life in you will not allow people to live a reduced lifestyle. That's such another great line. Like when you're living in truth, you don't allow people to live a reduced lifestyle, and it will be difficult for them to see a reduced lifestyle when they're with you. This is why being in a mastermind and being in a group of powerful people, it's why the saying like you are the five closest people that you hang out with, or the average of the five people that you hang out with most often. All of this is about you aligning with what you're worthy of. And it says, your confidence in me will overpower their doubt. And though initially antagonized by your confession, they shall receive an upgrade in my presence. And so what I love about that is that one of the most difficult things when you start to want to express your creative side, your spiritual side, your your relationship with God, just your authentic side. If you're like me, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and as a recovering people pleaser, I used to just do the things that everybody wanted me to do so that they would like me. And so when I got off drugs and alcohol 10 years ago, I had to really stare in the face and get brutally honest with myself about who were actually my friends, and what was it that I actually wanted to be, that I actually was. And when I got truthful about that, a lot of people fell out of my life, but the people that found me were so much more deeply connected. And that's the beauty of living authentically, is that the people that aren't meant for you will fall away, but the people that are your vibe tribe will show up in a vivid, just such a joyous and satisfying way. All right. So it says, everyone that you speak to will rise up when you're living in this place of the higher purpose, God. When you see that potential, when you see how you look through those eyes and you live from that place, what this is saying is that everyone that you speak to will rise up. If not eventually, if not initially, always eventually. Stay true to the new you. Live in harmony with my delight in you, and your desires will form a new you. So what does a growth seeking human look like? Well, growth can only happen if you desire growth. And you may not have a desire for growth sometimes. I know I don't. And so oftentimes when I feel depressed, when I feel dejected, when I feel rejected, what I will do is pray, God, show me what I need to feel, sh- develop in me a strong desire for truth, because the truth, God's truth for you is that you can have what you want. You can live a life of abundance. Territory is available to you. It's only when we go out of that truth that we think something else. And so in those moments where I don't know what to do, I ask for a stronger desire for truth so that I can know where my path is in this moment. All right, a deeper place of permission for others. They are to live in my harmony with my delight in you, and your desires will form a new you, a deeper place of permission for others. There are many levels of blessing and inheritance. They are linked to your response and your fellowship in me. Walk with me into this place of favor, which will always be as deep as you wish it to be. So I love this too, because it's basically saying, hey, this relationship with God, with a higher power, with your higher purpose, that's going to be as deep as you ask it to be. And if you're not interested in having that relationship, it's not going to be there. It has to be a desire driven relationship. And so it says, my heart is always fully towards you. I want you to live in the place of unbroken delight where the poverty of sin cannot touch you. What is sin? It's just missing the mark. So when we get something wrong, do we beat ourselves up? Or do we say, you know what, I'm going to learn from this and I will keep getting better, but I'm not going to beat myself up for it? That's the poverty of sin. So you want to be in a place of unbroken delight where the poverty of sin cannot touch you, where my newness of life embraces you every day, where my favor renews you in the spirit each morning, and you live empowered by joy under the beauty of my smile. So what does that mean? Again, you're living from the higher purpose. You're not living from this place of, oh, I made some mistakes, I have some regrets, I haven't done the things I know I can do. No, you're living from the higher potential as if it's already happened, as if it's already available to you, because it is already available to you. And the more that you align with that, the more that the breadcrumb path will appear. It says, behold, I make my face shine upon you. I am delighted in you. Remain there. Abide in my keeping power. Dwell in the place of my power of fullness, which is perpetual blessing. So again, that's living from the end, as Neville Goddard would tell us. You look at the things that you want, the life that you want, the service that you want to be in, and you allow yourself to daydream what it would be like to already be there. You find the feeling place of that, and that's where you can emotionally connect in to the higher wisdom that lives there. It says, my grace overwhelms everything that you are not, so that I may fully gaze on you, my beloved, my beauty, and your heart shall melt with delight and favor as you walk in the peace and the blessing of your God. I've brought you to a deeper place of favor and inheritance, a deep well of provision inside you. A deep river of blessing is before you. The first opens up the second. So, a deep well of provision is inside you, a deep river of blessing is before you. So what does provision inside you mean? That means that you're tapping into that higher potential and you're living from it. You're accepting that you're taken care of. That's what provision is. So it's an emotional state. You have to be in an emotional state where you feel taken care of, and when you do that, a deep river of blessing is then before you. That's what it means when it says the first opens up the second. Your internal focus is the key to success. To external freedom, to drink deep is an act of worship. There is a new depth available. Go to a deeper place of delight. So what is that depth? What does drinking deep mean? That means that you carve out space for this, whether it's space to meditate, to pray, to visualize. These are how you drink deep and how you align yourself with this higher vision for yourself. When I open you up to new depths of my love, it will expose the hidden things in you that prevent you from fully experiencing my goodness, eradicating despair. So that's what that discomfort is. So those are the things that prevent you from experiencing the full goodness that are available. So when you get silent, when you're in frustration, That's fine. We're all going to be frustrated. But our job or our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to sit still with that, to feel that discomfort in our body, at which place that discomfort will slowly dissolve. For me, it's like when you drink a glass of red wine or when you drink a cup of hot tea and you feel the heat move through your body. That's what it feels like to eradicate despair. And then that turns into creative potential that then taps you into this higher potential. It says, my mercy illuminates self hatred, my joy exposes low self esteem. I am not exposing you to ridicule you. So when you feel bad, that's not God saying you did something wrong. That's the gift. God is showing you what you need to feel through, what you need to dissolve, what you need to transmute so that you can actually move into this higher place of intentionality. So it says, but I do this to bring you to acceptance and wholeness. I am exposing to you your own greatness in me. A fresh revelation of my nature upgrades you to stand in a new dimension in the spirit. In this place, I have set a fresh provision for you to bring you to a higher place than you have ever risen, to come up higher. Hear me continuously whisper to you, arise, my love, my fair one. So this is that relationship that you can have with reality, with God, with a higher aim, with a higher purpose. When you start to treat reality the way that you treat ChatGPT and query it, prompt it, and expect answers back. The call upon you is to rise up and occupy a higher, deeper, broader place in my name and my nature, to learn to inhabit this dimension, not just visit it. The time of visitation is over. The place of habitation has been erected. You are in it and surrounded by it. A place higher than the enemy can affect has been created for you. Rise up and inhabit. Enter a high place of my affection. Come in, enter a new environment of faith and permission. The door is open. The door is open. You are in a new season. You have a new beginning. Don't look about you and say, but I'm still in the old place. You're in a new beginning. It has already occurred. And so this is part of that living from the end, recognizing that everything that you want, it is directly relational to your ability to recognize your worthiness of having it, and that worthiness comes from you aligning with a higher ideal, from you aligning with the gift that God has given you, or the gift that the universe has given you, if you want to give that different language. But don't get stuck in looking around and being like, but wait, nothing's changed. Because the second that you do that, you lose the thread, you lose the creative thread. You have to live in the end. You receive it first in spirit, then it becomes the truth of your experience. It says, rise up and inhabit, enter a high place of my affection, come in, enter a new environment of faith and permission. Oh, I read that. It has already occurred. You're in learning the lessons of abiding. Remain here, dwell here, stay here, explore this higher place. Allow me to give you a new vision for life in the spirit. When you have a fresh perspective, you can see more. So what does that mean? It means our job is to consistently find that place of ease that's available when we go into silence. I've had to sit with my discomfort sometimes for hours at a time. But ultimately, what happens is if you just get curious about what's happening in your body, if you get curious about the discomfort that's there, that curiosity, that light of consciousness will slowly dissolve the trauma that is coming up for release. And on the other side of that, you will have a much larger, wider perspective and you can see more. It says, I am removing a poverty spirit from your heart. A poverty spirit keeps you trapped in a lower form of being. Thank you. Poverty is not about economic deficiency. True poverty is the acceptance of meager possibility. Let me say that again because that's one of the most powerful statements in this thing. It says poverty is not about economic deficiency. Every time you think you don't have the money for what you want to do, that's a limited belief because the true poverty is a mindset thing. True poverty is the acceptance of meager possibility. It's saying I don't like my life and I would prefer to be doing something else. I desire more for what I'm doing, but then accepting a meager possibility by saying, but I couldn't have that. if you have the desire for something, that means that the energy is available to you in a breadcrumb path to get the things that you desire and the feelings that you want to house within your body. There can be a poverty of imagination, a deficiency in courage, a dearth in personal vision, a barrenness in the will that keeps you passive and beaten down. So these are the things that we have to work on. It's not that we don't have any money, it's that we lack the imagination to see where the money is at. It's not that we can't leave our job and go do something else. It's that we have a deficiency in courage that would allow us to open up that path. It's not that we can't see a bigger life. It's that there's a dearth in our ability to envision more for ourselves. And it's not that we just don't feel good and we're unlucky. It's that there's a barrenness in our spirit, in our willingness to do these practices, to go into prayer, to go into a receiving mode, because to receive is an emotional thing, and to be emotional you have to be humble. You have to get out of logic and reason. You have to get out of your head and into your body. That's why we always call it going into your heart, because where true growth happens is in the nervous system. And you can talk to athletes, one of the reasons that they train so often is muscle memory. They're training their nervous system into what it feels like to win. Says poverty is accepting a limitation and being governed by lack. My people convince themselves that they lack resources, but the reality is they do not go out and meet my provision. It's another great line, because what it's saying is you've got to meet God 50%. You've got to meet the universe 50%. If you're just sitting treading water, no oars in the water, no sails up, you're just going to spin in a circle. But the second that you start to move forward through oars or motor or putting a sail up, that's when God can put wind in your sails. A boat in motion is so much easier to turn, and it's why when I used to do a bunch of executive coaching with startup entrepreneurs, one of the things that I always said is it does not matter what you pick. Pick something and move forward on it, and then get into alignment. Because if it's the wrong choice, you will know very quickly that it's the wrong choice. A boat in motion is so much easier to steer. So it says, the reality is they do not go out and meet my provision. You got to go 50% of the way. They take no steps of faith. They wait for provision to come, but I have placed provision not where you stand, but in the place that you are about to tread. Ah, I love that line, because what it means is that if you're in this, oh, nothing ever happens for me, my life sucks. Like when I get into that mode sometimes, I'm like, oh, what am I even doing with my life? Because you get more and more sensitive, and then the things in your life become that weren't frustrating at a broader place are now frustrating because you're more sensitive, and so you're constantly putting things under a microphone, or under a magnifying glass, and amplifying everything, so that you can become as purely motivated as possible. But if you're unwilling to start moving in some direction, the provision isn't going to come to you, because it doesn't get delivered to you. It's right out in front of you, and the second that you start to move forward, you will find that breadcrumb path. It's in front of you, beloved, one step ahead of a poverty mindset. Never let yourself be defined by externals. Let your bank balance, like your bank balance, your resources, your environment, be defined internally by my permission. So that's the potential for you, right? That's the highest, that's what you're being called to. You want to be defined by your calling, not by your current circumstances. Then, such as you have, I will always multiply. I want you to rethink your assumptions about what is or is not possible in the light of your favor and your faith in my intentionality. I love that too, because I love doubling down and being like, how could it be bigger? How could it be more? How could I be serving more people? How could I do a better job? Even when I feel really good, that's actually the best time to ask this, because you're in a mode where you can actually receive it. It says your personal assumptions will either defeat you or inspire you to live in me. So it's the wolf that you feed, right? Are you feeding the poverty wolf or the abundance wolf? Take ground in my permission, enter into an agreement with my intention. Internal harmony with my purpose is the basis for all warfare to succeed. Contend with the enemy using your promises. So these are the promises that we're talking about. Everything here is a promise to you from reality, from God. Contend with the enemy using your promises. Believers are not passive, beloved. They apprehend. Your promises sharpen your courage in the battle. I just love this warrior spirit of, I'm going to take my territory. I'm going to take what's mine. Warfare must always reveal your inheritance. It opens up new territory, or it establishes your present claim. Because I am is territorial, so is my word. Your promise has territory attached to it. I just love that idea that there's all of this stuff that's waiting for me that's been carved out with my name on it, and my job is just to get into alignment, to know that that's my birthright, and to step into it. And that's why the enemy contends against it. In order to defeat you, he must prevent you from inheriting. To do that, he must cast doubts on the promises you hold. Do you know how, let's be real, a lot of you have been with me for the last 3 years. Do you know how many times through the projects over the last 3 years that I've had doubts cast on me by the devil? What's the devil? The devil is poor thinking. The devil is your ability to not see your potential. I've had to go into prayer so many times and ask for those doubts to be transmuted into something, so that I could see the vision, so that I could see where we were headed, so that I could get the bigger picture and continue to drive towards that. My people are a shadow of their potential because they believe a lie. Promises designed to release you from fear into joy. Fear is always present in a fight. It has to go somewhere. This next line is so good. When you live above fear, it becomes a weapon in your hand, and you drive it into the heart of the enemy. I love that, because I love thinking about my negative thinking as like this enemy on horseback. And when I come in with my abundance thinking, I'm just like, get out of here, enemy. And so it's such a cool way to think about, oh, I have the ability to destroy my poor thinking and to accept the mantle of abundant thinking that's available to me. It says, do not for a moment be intimidated by the enemy, for it is a sure sign to him and to you that you're not believing in your promises. Doubt attracts attack. Ooh, that is a powerful line right there. Because when we are in doubt, the second that I'm in doubt, what I do is I pull out a legal pad. I write up on the top of the page, what is the condition here? And so the condition might be, I don't know what to do right now. And then I say, okay, well, how could you handle that? And I say, and so then I just riff on what I'm doing is I'm opening up the channel for answers to come through. So I say, and I'm honest, I allow myself to have negative thinking, because this is a contained vehicle for my creativity to take whatever form it needs to take. This is stream of consciousness. So if I'm in a foul mood, I might say, I don't know what I'm doing. And then, okay, well, how could you handle that? I could pout about it. I could yell at my girlfriend. I could go eat lunch. I could take a break. I could go for a walk. I could Google something on the internet. I could ask somebody in the Discord. I could whatever comes to you. That line of thinking is the breadcrumb path. And what's going to happen is you're always trying to scan for, where's the energy at right now. So sometimes I don't get to a solution, but when I look back over that list, I'm like, you know what? I should go get something to eat right now. I haven't eaten all day. And so then I take a break, I go eat something, I listen to a podcast, I renew my spirit and my mind, and when I come back, bam, the answer comes to me. And so when we're doubtful, that is the time where we can get attacked by our poor thinking, and that's the time when other people can exploit us. And so we want to get rid of doubt as quickly as possible by saying, well, what are all the things that I could do right now that I do know about? And ultimately we'll land on something that has enough energy that becomes the next breadcrumb in the breadcrumb path. All right. It says the enemy seeks to do more than depress you. He seeks you for an ally. But warriors cannot be turned. Their heart is fixed on me. And so this is what I'm talking about is the second that you find yourself in a place of doubt, you go into whatever your prayer practice is. For me, that legal pad exercise is a prayer practice. And I get out of doubt. I find that higher spirit and I tap back into solution. It says warriors live in the laughter of their king. I just love that because I love thinking like so sometimes when I feel depressed, I will just laugh. I'll be like and it just raises my energy and so I love this idea of a king laughing and being like ha, 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 as if they could defeat us. They inhabit a place of carefree joy. They walk in the exuberance and enthusiasm of the Holy Spirit. They hear me singing and they learn the words. So what is the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit is that creative thread that connects you into the higher spirit, into the higher purpose. They hear me singing the songs of deliverance and they join in. All warriors are singers. The song of the Lord is glorious and it is dangerous to all our foes. Come up higher, occupy a higher place in my affection, a higher place of sensitivity in the spirit is awaiting you. This is my promise to you. The place in your life where you have been counted out will become the place of your greatest encounter. Do you know how many times over the last 3 years I've gone to this one phrase and forced myself to believe it? The place in your life where you have been counted out will become your place of greatest encounter. Ooh, I love that when I'm in a challenge because I'm that means that I'm about to become bigger. These difficulties will now tell you a different story. It's the story of your present and future overcoming. Behold, I grant you the rights of an overcomer in all your current areas of difficulty. A higher place with me guarantees a broader scope of victory. The enemy will now reveal to you the hand of God upon you. So all of that nasty thinking out here, all of the circumstances out here are just designed for you to be able to tune into how God will overcome, how creativity will overcome, how a higher potential will overcome. Watch closely from your high place. For this purpose have I raised up the enemy, that I may demonstrate my power over him in you. All warriors know this and participate in my purpose. That's such a cool idea. This idea that whatever is going wrong, like, why would God let something go wrong? Why would God put this challenge in my way? The reason is so that you can see how great God is and how great you are in God so that you can rise above it. There is always revelation in the battle, a higher purpose than the fight itself. When the enemy comes in like a flood, I am always lifting up a standard against him. That standard is my name and my nature in you. On the battlefield, there is a fresh revelation of who you are becoming, an identity for you to step into. So when challenge comes, that means that there's a greater desire, because frustration, the first thing that frustration and challenge does when we look at the energy of it, is it actually grows our desire. I don't want this thing to be here. Okay, I know what I don't want. What is it that I do want? It gives us bigger vision by saying, oh, I don't want this. What I actually want is this. Oh, wow, that's a bigger vision than I've had before. So the frustration and the challenge creates the bigger vision. That's the fresh revelation of who you're becoming, an identity for you to step into. I've placed both an increase and an upgrade on the battlefield. David knew that. That's why he ran towards Goliath. It was that attitude that made him a man after my own heart. So that's this idea that no matter how stupid you feel, and no matter how small you are, no matter how insignificant you feel, you can be the David. When an entire army couldn't defeat Goliath, you can be the kid with a rock and a slingshot that snaps it right up against the forehead and knocks the warrior down. The current difficulties will define for you a new place of identity. Rise up and occupy a new persona in my presence. Available now is the year of your rising. I am calling you up to a high place in my loving kindness and favor. Be sheltered by my grace over you. Be protected in my love. Be cloaked in my power. Stand above the enemy. Rise up above the difficulty. I love that. I always play to win. This is your higher potential is saying to you. This is such a powerful thing. Like as an affirmation, like looking at yourself in the mirror and recognizing that this is the message of God to you. This is the message of reality to you. God is saying to you, hey, John, hey, whatever your name is, I always play to win. That just gives me chills because I'm like, I play to win too. For you to overcome, you must face the battle in the same way that I do. You fight from victory, not towards it. This is so powerful. You always live in the end. You always recognize that the territory is yours. The victory is yours. So you're not trying to figure out how to get to victory. You're tapping into the idea that victory is already yours. And it's just your job to go on the ride of how that's going to play itself out. And that's such a much more fun way to go about life because you recognize no matter the challenges, the victory is already mine. And when it's time for me to see the unraveling of that and to experience the victory, I will because it's been given. Therefore, every battle is not yours to win, it's already been won. The battle is yours to lose, beloved, and as you stand in me, winning is your only option. So when you're living from that higher potential, the only option is to win. Because of these truths, you must understand that I send you out as a lamb against wolves. In the natural, it will always look like you're overwhelmed, but you stand in the shadow of the Almighty. So that feeling of overwhelm is natural. That means that you're on the leading edge. You can't be a visionary. You can't be an innovator doing something that's never been done before and not feel a little bit uncomfortable about it. And so what do? You feel that discomfort in your body as sensation. That's the emotional prayer. And then you say, what is the higher purpose trying to communicate to me? What they're trying to communicate to you is that it's already won. You must have something big to overcome. David, this is next. You must have something big to overcome so that you may grow bigger by what you defeat. I love that. Recognize the giant that is against you. Expect to be lifted up above the head of your enemy. The enemy exists to make you bigger. When I lift you above him, you're thrusting down at him as though you were on horseback and he on foot. I just love the visuals of being, in medieval times and thrusting down on your doubt, on your insecurity, on your fear. I will have none of it. You have a divine advantage. I will teach you how to use it well. You have favor with me because I am is biased. You are in a new season, a new beginning. You have to always remember every moment is a new season. Every moment is a new beginning. Every moment is an opportunity for you to rise up. I am raising up the modern day equivalent of David's mighty men, people who are after my own heart, men and women of a different spirit, a people greatly beloved who understand their favor and have confidence in their own identity in me. So that's you living in the higher potential, knowing yourself from that higher potential, not from your circumstances, from the victory that's already been won. There is therefore, beloved, a season of preparation and training that I want to commit you to on this next phase of your journey. All the circumstances of your life I will use to train and equip you for this next dimension of the spirit that I wish to thrust you into. This is so important to recognize because whatever your big dream is, you might not be ready to hold that dream. If you've ever watched any of the documentaries or read the literature on people who win the lottery, it's something like 70% of lottery winners have lost all of the money or even further in debt than when they started, something ridiculous like 2 years after winning. That's so crazy to think about. You won the lottery and 2 years later you're worse off. That's because you did not have the emotional capacity, the nervous system to hold that desire. So the worst thing is to get what you want and lose it. And so what this is saying is that there's going to be a season of preparation. Yes, the victory is already won, but you may not be ready to live it yet. And so whatever happens next are the reps. That's what God is saying. You have to go through these things before you can live the big dream because I need to bring your nervous system up to speed. All right. So all the circumstances of your life I will use to train and equip you for this next dimension of the spirit that I wish to thrust you into. Once you say yes to this development, there is no turning back. I know that intimately. And this is like you committing to going to the gym. If you go to the gym every single day, you're going to transform your body, but you have to commit to it. The training will begin. I want you to live an ascended lifestyle where you process your life from heaven to earth. Remember, this is living from the potential, living from the end, living from it already being done. That is, you live by every word that proceeds from my mouth. You take your perceptions of reality from the Holy Spirit. That's the creative spirit that connects you into the higher potential, and not from your own logic and reason. This isn't a mentally constructed thing. You're not going to download, a full blueprint for how the thing you want is going to come into play. What you're going to get is emotional guidance moment by moment of how you should show up. I will teach you I will teach you a higher level of perception and thinking, one that will lead you into greater faith and a more overtly outrageous supernatural lifestyle. Who wants who here wants that? Like outrageous supernatural lifestyle? Sign me up. That's what I'm looking for. And when you call that in on a daily, moment by moment basis, that's what life becomes. You're no longer calculating from the mind, which is where so much lies and turmoil come from. That's where we lie to ourselves all the time, is when we're living from the mind. When we live from an emotional state, when we're connected into our nervous system, that's when we can really start to live an outrageous supernatural lifestyle. This is how it works. The faster you move, the more you will encounter, the more you will be transformed. I am calling you to an ascended lifestyle, to learn the disciplines of a resurrected life. I will teach you how to rejoice in the throne room. So in Christian speak, whether you're a Christian or not, what is a resurrected life? So Christians talk about how Jesus died on the cross. So that's a physical man dying on the cross and then becoming a spiritual being. So one of the things that I believe the Bible is teaching, and what one of Jesus' teaching was that wasn't prevalent at the time, is that there is a spirit world, that there is this creative spirit that goes on. Your life continues after this, and that you are a spirit. And so to live from a resurrected life is identifying yourself as the spiritual being, not the physical meat sack. When you identify with the physical meat sack, you're immediately identifying with a limitation, because the meat sack will die, but the spirit is eternal. And so while you're here, you can identify and align your thinking with that more infinite stance, and that's where you'll be able to live that ascended lifestyle. You shall be enthusiastically immersed in throne room praise. I will develop your intercession before the throne. You will take part in prophetic dialogue concerning the nations, just as Isaiah did, and you will learn to pray with Jesus. You will discover practical ways of being seated with Christ in heavenly places. So whether you believe in Jesus or not, the representation of Jesus is this idea that there is a spiritual connection that can be had between you and God. And when you open that up, with the creative force, that creative force turns you into a prophetic vision, and allows you to have prescience that shows you the path before you before the path is there, so that you know what to do and how to be of service. We're almost to the end of this, so I appreciate everybody still being here. And you shall enter a deep place of rest. Why? Because when you're living from that place, you're at ease. Things are just like, oh, thank God it's taken care of. Like that's kind of the feeling of it. You will develop and learn the joy of authority over the enemy. So this is you having mastery over your thinking, over your fears, over your doubts. You will cultivate in my presence a divine military intelligence over the enemy. Amen. As Elisha learned in his day, above all, you shall be clothed in my majesty, for you will be embraced by my identity as your own, and your revelation shall lead you into powerful experiences that will transform your life. So this is about you activating your spiritual body, the Merkaba, and becoming prophetic. Ascending into the spirit realms, and recognizing yourself as more than the meat sack, and aligned with the spiritual realm, which is ruled by this creator, this creative force. Beloved, these disciplines will take time. And so this is the part where we have to let ourselves off the hook that it hasn't all happened yet. Because the second that we start to get impatient, we lose all of this. Impatience is a physical trait. When we're in the spirit, time doesn't exist. Time is a physical element. And so if we want to be aligned with the spirit, we have to get outside of time. And so these disciplines are going to take physical time because we have to sculpt our body and our nervous system and our emotional capacity and our thinking in a way that allows us to be called forth. But it says, I am calling you, therefore, to set aside time for majesty to develop. So, what does it mean for majesty to develop? That's when you sit with yourself, you feel your feelings, you align with that higher potential, and you allow that to play out on your nervous system and grow the pipes of your nervous system. It is vital that your heart is overwhelmed by love, for this season will be most joyful and very painful. Why is it painful? Because there are probably a lot of lies. If you're anything like me, there's a lot of lies that you're telling yourself and you're telling others. They may be tiny little white lies, but those prevent you from being energetically powerful. They prevent you from living from the spirit. And so we have to grow a desire for truth. And in that truth, those lies will be revealed in our nervous system, and then we're going to have to feel through the discomfort of the fact that we've been a liar about that, the discomfort that we're going to have to say that truth out loud, and that people are going to react however they react to that truth, and that will be temporarily uncomfortable, followed by being incredibly joyful. The pain will because you have to leave behind lessons you have been taught, which you will discover were not real truths about me. So as you develop a personal relationship with the creator, with reality, with God, with creativity, you recognize that all of the mental stuff that you thought it was, that's not it. And all of the stuff that you thought you were going to be able to get away with, that's not true. And so you will have to set aside logic and reason in favor of wisdom and intuition, which are actually emotional qualities. You will discover that knowledge and experience were not what you imagined. I will confront in you all religious teaching that does not represent who I am. You must be free indeed if you are to be a true warrior. To counteract the pain, I will immerse you in my joy. I will baptize you in freshness. Your life will become new every day. You must practice renewal constantly, or you will let it go in the heat of battle. So, what is this talking about? A lot of us I used to be somebody who I would meditate for a couple hours a day, or I moved into my truck top camper and I would meditate all day long, and I'd be like, my life's so great, I've got it figured out. But the second that something came up in my life where I didn't have money, or there was a challenge, or I was in a conflict with my girlfriend, all of a sudden, all of that relaxed, oh, look how enlightened I am energy just went out the window. Because I was not somebody who had trained my nervous system to be temporarily uncomfortable. I was not somebody who knew how to feel through the discomfort in my body. So what I would do is I would go out of body. I would push all of that discomfort. Ooh, my eyes got super watery. I would push all of that discomfort out of my body. And as long as that discomfort was pushed out of my body, I was totally fine. But the second that somebody triggered me, all that discomfort would come mapped back onto my nervous system. And I would not be somebody who was good at dealing with conflict. And so I had to learn how to stand strong in the face of conflict, in the face of conflicting, and learn how to practice a walking meditation, a walking prayer where I was constantly renewed, even in the midst of battle. So it says, Beloved, do not be worried about this process of renewal. Instead, be as excited for yourself as I am for you. I will squeeze you through a narrow place so that your mind and heart become radically changed. It will hurt only for a necessary season, but my joy in you shall always be present. And so this is what I always say to myself when I have big feelings. And there will be moments in my life where for a whole week I'm having nothing but big feelings. But those big feelings, when acknowledged, when you're curious about them, when you set aside 30 minutes, an hour, a couple hours, however long it takes to let those dissolve and transmute back into creative potential, on the other side of that, That's where that renewal comes in. That's where that bigger vision comes in, so that your mind and heart become radically changed. It will hurt only for a necessary season, but my joy in you shall always be present. Come on this journey with me, the journey towards the pleasure of a changed mindset, where your renewed mind shall fully serve the love that is in your heart. So, what is the conversation that I have to myself? I used to think that I had to feel my feelings myself. And so it would take forever to feel through all my feelings. Now I go into prayer and I ask God or the creative spirit or the higher purpose. I say, I want to be of the most service that I can be of. Please help me feel through this discomfort. All right, so we got cut off and I couldn't reconnect, but I'm gonna just go through the rest of this so that I can cut it together into a YouTube video and so that anybody who's interested in the rest of it can see. But basically where we left off is we're talking about how you have to have a renewed mind in order to inherit that love that comes from aligning from a higher perspective from God, from that creative energy. And so in order to do that, remember the what we're reading through is Rise Up a Warrior by Cooke. And this is basically a letter or a prophecy from God, from that creator to you. And so it's showing you how the creator sees you so that you can align with that higher perspective. And so it says, be present future with me. I will teach you how to reorder your present thinking to include your future identity. And so if you watch the whole space before this, which I highly encourage you to do, you'll recognize that this is all about living from the end, living from the desired space and recognizing, finding the emotional space of that before you see any physical manifestations of it. It says, the emerging you has more favor, more power, more anointing, and more of my presence. I love who you are now, and I love the you that is emerging. I will teach you to love both and to live in both. So this is such an important part of this because too often we say, oh, I haven't gotten it there yet. I'm not there yet. And basically, we beat ourselves up for not having it done yet. And what this is saying is God, that creative force, loves you where you're at right now and where you're going. And so this is a mechanism that we can use to soften and relax into our lives and recognize that the breadcrumb path that's unfolding before us is all about us getting up to speed with our desires, learning the things that we need to learn, growing the pipes of our nervous system so that we can inherit the biggest potential that's available for us. It says, I will show you how to bring the future into today so that you will be free of the past and able to discover the person I have made you in Christ. And remember, Christ is the recognition of a connection to a higher creative force. It's the recognition that we're more than the meat sack, that we live beyond life, that there's something outside of time that we can align with. Perception is the key to power. How you see yourself in me will provide you with the keys to victory in every situation. See, I have already made you a warrior in the spirit. Everything is available to you. You must learn to step into the reality of what I've already made available in Jesus. And remember, Jesus Christ, this is that connection to the higher spiritual potential. It is the potential of what it looks like to live wholly aligned in love. Let that identity settle into your heart. Because remember, it's an emotional state. All inheritance is emotional. It is my doing. By my permission do you enter my provision, not by your performance. This is another part that I love about this is because so often out of a place of unworthiness, we feel like we have to hustle harder. We have to work around the clock because we have to earn these gifts that are available to us. And what God is saying here and what the creative potential of the universe is that these things don't come by your performance. These things come by your emotional alignment with a higher perspective. Your performance is never about entering, it is about abiding. And so when we live from the end, when we hold that true place of pure desire, when we can hold that purely, when we can abide in that, that's when all of these gifts are bestowed upon us. It says, dear heart, please get this. You are already in Christ. I have placed you there. So this potential is already available to you. You're already capable of living at the highest forms of love. It's just that we have to tune into ourselves and remove each layer of missed mark, onion by onion, layer by layer. You need not work to enter this high place. It is your inheritance freely given. Beloved, you must work to remain there. Your performance is not about earning. It's first about accepting who you are to me. And so I love this because think about this higher potential. And we talked about it before our space got cut off in the space before this, about God being the highest potential that's available to you. And so what if instead of seeing your life through your own physical meat sack eyes, you were able to see your life through that higher potential from the victory already being won? When you can do that, that's when all of this becomes. It's about accepting who you are to me, that highest potential. You must accept my heart towards you. Become fully engaged in my great love for you. I will teach you the lessons of beauty. It is a great life I have given you. I will teach you how to abide in me, the joy of dwelling, the beauty of just being in me and with me. You must simply accept the upgrade of annoying that I willingly bestow and learn sensitivity within the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit is this emotional connection to everything else that's available to us. And as we go into prayer, as we sit in silence, as we feel our feelings in our body and allow this to play out with curiosity, we develop a deeper sensitivity that allows us to track where the energy is available for us in each moment. The key to learning is to be thrilled by your tutor. I love this just in a practical sense. Like when you're excited about something, it's so fun to learn about it. And when you hate something, it's so sucky to learn about it. Let the enthusiasm of the Holy Spirit fill you up. He loves to increase you. He loves to show you who you're going to become next. I just love that idea of like, what a good prayer. Show me who I'm becoming. Show me who I'm going to be next. He loves to declare the fullness of Jesus to you, that you're a spiritual being. He has all of your upgrades in his heart. That is why he is permanently and perpetually excited about your life and your identity. He adores his role. He happily goes about the business each day of developing a mindset in you that releases your identity at the next level. He loves to show you your destiny and then move you towards it. So this is about seeing a vision, moving towards it, whatever challenges are going to come up, whatever frustrations are going to come up. What does that do? Now that I know what I don't want, I know what I do want. And what I do want now is bigger than what I wanted a moment before. And so this is us growing our identity and then aligning with the fact that that new desire can now be ours. The key to your development and the speed of your growth is for you to become as enthusiastic about your identity as I am. This is your higher potential, knows your higher potential, and wants you to align with it. I love who you are now, and I love the you that's coming. I love the you that's being transformed, and I love the you that is emerging because of the transformation. A warrior spirit is my gift to you. A warrior mindset is your gift to me. So what this is saying is that the relationship with God, with that creator, with that creative force, with that loving force, a warrior spirit is what God gives to us. The ability to go out and achieve and have victory and overcome anything. That's always available to us. But in order to have that, we must gift to God a warrior mindset. And that's where we really learn to control our focus, where we don't let our doubts and our fears overcome us, but instead we develop the courage and the focus to see what the vision is and accept that it's freely given to us. A warrior lifestyle is our partnership together. Allow my spirit, who is your helper, to forge a renewed mind. And remember, what we talked about in the space before this was that reality is like ChatGPT. Prayer is a prompt. You send prayer directionally into the universe, expecting that an answer will come back to you, and one will come back. A warrior mindset is always focused on victory. So how do you focus on victory when you're upset, when you're fearful, when you're in doubt? Well, first you have to feel the doubt in your body. You have to dissolve that. So you get silent. You feel it as sensation in your body. You let that transmute itself back into creative potential. And now you can reframe what's happening from the stance of victory so that you can reverse engineer the victory. Abiding in that state of being able to see the end, live in the end, is the key to experience it. A mind set on abiding cannot be overcome. A warrior persona lives in joy, loves to rejoice. It is fully immersed in a spirit of thanksgiving. Rejoicing leads you into the place of being fully occupied with me. Stand, be unmoved. It unnerves the enemy. I love this. Because who's the enemy? It's your doubts, it's your fears, it's the challenges in your life. And so when you stand still, when you feel through all those doubts, when you transmute that back into creative potential, it unnerves the enemy. Do everything from rest. Live a life supremely unconcerned by the darkness. Live a life that loves the light. And so this is a part of living from the end, living from the victory. Whatever comes up doesn't worry you because all you have to do is be humble. And what is humility? It's feeling every feeling when it comes up fully. And if you can do that, all things will be bestowed upon you. I will teach you about the power that comes from endurance. I will show you the supremacy that manifests itself in patience. Patience is a weapon of mass demoralization to the enemy. It's another great one because what always screws things up, it's when you get impatient. And so that's a button that somebody can push in you. That's a button that the enemy can push in you. The second that you get impatient, you cut yourself off from the creative flow. But if you can remain patient, recognize that the victory is yours, that it's your job to just feel through the breadcrumb path, that's a weapon of mass demoralization to the enemy. He has no patience. His own impatience will defeat him. Wait patiently by being active in worship. Wait patiently and love the simplicity of prayer. And remember, prayer is not just a mental conversation, but prayer is emotional. It's your ability to feel all of your feelings and to ask for reception. Remember, you put your arms up and you pull in, you signal that you're ready to receive what's ready to come to you. The joy of my presence will release more into the situation than the enemy can handle. The object of warfare is victory. The object of victory is occupation. First, be occupied with me. I am seeking more than victory. I seek territory. I will teach you to reclaim your inner territory. I love that idea of territory because it does feel like emotional territory. It feels like space. You know, that's why we call it a safe space, because a safe space is designed for somebody who doesn't feel like they have any territory. But when you feel like you have territory, the world is your oyster. You live everywhere. It says, then I will show you the particular piece of land in the spirit that I wish to give you. I just like that idea that there is this territory out there that's ready to be given to me. I'll teach you how to take it and how to hold it in your identity. And you are the hope of the nations, a warrior class that changes the history of people groups. I have opened the door to a whole new dimension of the spirit. And how do we change the history of people groups? It's because all of us have an emotional inheritance. When we're born, we inherit the trauma and the emotions, both good and bad, of both of our parents. So those could both get put on us as a child. Our job, and so then that goes back, you know, something like 7 generations. So the emotional imprint of all those generations are on us. And then we operate from a framework of that trauma. We're looking through all of that trauma. When we sit still and we feel our feelings, we're healing generational trauma within ourselves. And it's not our job to go and physically heal it out here unless we feel called to do that. Our job is to own it in ourselves, to feel through the guilt, the shame, whatever feelings come up there, to get in touch with it, to grieve all of the mistakes of the past, and then to move forward as a warrior class, to give you a taste of the power of the age to come, to bring heaven to earth in my name. That's my purpose. And why is it heaven to earth and not earth to heaven? Bringing heaven to earth is about you living in the victory and aligning with something that's already been given. That's my purpose, on earth as it is in heaven. You must live from heaven to earth if you are to fully glorify me. I have opened the door to a secret place in the spirit. It is my heart that you should fully explore this place and discover who you really are in the process. Then I will put this door in you so that my heart and for you will open the door for others. So what this is saying is that when you're living in your highest potential, when you're tapped into this creative space, when you have a relationship with the creator, with something outside of yourself, with that higher potential, with that higher aim, when you're tapped into that, when you have a strong desire for truth, when you're willing to tell the truth and you do what you know you're supposed to do, when you don't shirk from your responsibilities, you will become a light that people see, that people want to gravitate towards, and they will then tap into their potential just because they saw your own. And if you've ever watched an inspiring mentor or coach or YouTube video, you know that when you see somebody that's doing it, that's really doing their work, you're like, I should do it too. And that's what that looks like to help open doors for others. So it ends by saying, this is the year of your rising, beloved. Enter into a higher place in the spirit. So I'm appreciative of all of those who tuned into the space. It was unfortunate that the space cut out, but hopefully you're able to tune back in and catch the end of this, share it with a friend. One of the things that I'm really interested in doing is connecting more deeply with people in the crypto space who have a spiritual stance and who are looking to have conversations and to operate from this framework, to recognize that, yes, logic and reason is required in a space that is designed to be permissionless, but really the thing that breeds innovation is an emotional quality. It's a creative quality, and the more that we can connect at that level, the more that we can be builders, that we can see the value of parallel economies, that we can build things because it's good for the community, rather than always be thinking about price action. Of course, it's fun when price go up. I'm all about calling that in and for abundance in that way. But as builders, we can think about how we can build things that contribute to people's lives above and beyond simply price speculation. So that's my intention. I'm going to be playing around with a bunch of different content to kind of see what draws people in, allows people to raise their hand so that we can have more of these conversations. This one was kind of a one-to-many type thing, but I want a lot of it to be collaborative. And so, maybe tomorrow we'll try a space where I just kind of read the news and we talk about some of the things that are happening in the space. But ultimately, I'm living from a spiritual perspective. I'm recognizing myself as a spiritual being. I'm in concert with God, and I view God as a separate entity from myself. I don't need anybody else to believe that. Whatever you believe is fine. I've been on many different paths, and maybe I'll be on many different paths beyond this. I'm somebody who follows my curiosity and enacts my creativity, and I'm looking for other people who want to do that. So if that's you, hit the like button, share this video. We'll see you in the next space. I'm going to do my best to be live streaming at 3 p.m. Central Time every single day, Monday through Friday. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye.